from the Newsmax studio in New York City, here is Steve Malzberg.
Obviously, the world is watching reports of a downed passenger jet at the Russia-Ukraine border. And it looks like it may be a terrible tragedy. Right now, we're working to determine whether there were American citizens on board. That is our first priority. And I've directed my national security team to stay in close contact with the Ukrainian government. The United States will offer any assistance we can to help determine what happened and why. And as a country, our thoughts and prayers are with all the families of the passengers wherever they call home.
And that was it. I told you yesterday, commenting on the bizarre statement. Again, when Fort Hood happened, Obama first gave shout-outs to people, and then he managed 2 minutes after he started talking to acknowledge what happened at Fort Hood. Here, he said hello to some people, and then he did say what he just said, but it was 30 seconds. And, you know, it might be a tragedy. What does that even mean? And that was it. And you know where he went after this speech? He went to fundraisers. He came to New York for a fundraiser. I mean, you know, you compare that to Ronald Reagan, as we documented, and you know, making the speech after the Korean airliner was shot down. Remember George Bush took all this heat, and I'm not comparing this to 9/11, but because he was talking to school kids in a classroom and he decided not to alarm them and get right up and leave, they criticized him for keeping the conversation going with the school kids for another minute or two before he left. Well, Obama gave this 30 seconds, the plane crash. Here's Charles Krauthammer.
What is the president's reaction? You said what matters is not where he is. He's had no reaction. He's had no reaction to anything that I can tell in the last 6 months. Look, it isn't as if we're going to go to war with Russia, but we have denied Ukraine lethal weaponry on the grounds that we don't want to escalate the conflict. The rebels and the Russians are killing Ukrainians in large numbers by shooting them out of the sky. The least the president can do is to make a damn decision for once in his life.
Whoa, those are fighting words. Those are tough words, but heartfelt from Charles. You could tell. You could tell. Make a damn decision for once in his life. And today he wasn't much better, I got to say. Basically, it's a European problem. You know, we demand an immediate ceasefire, but hey, let the investigation go on. It's a European problem. And that's basically the foreign policy of the United States of America and of this president. And it's kind of scary, really is. Okay, folks, we'll be back, but first we take a look back at Olympian Mark Spitz's gold medal sweep at the '72 Olympics.
I'm going to tell you something. They're going to call you chicken if you don't swim. You are the world record holder. And the premier Olympic swimming event is the 100 freestyle.
With those words from his coach, Olympic history was made. Born Mark Andrew Spitz in the little town of Modesto, California, the future Olympian record holder began his swimming career at the age of 2 in the Hawaiian waters of Waikiki Beach. 4 years later, Mark and his family moved to Sacramento, California, and by age 10, he held 17 national age group records and 1 world record. But the best was yet to come. After a disappointing performance at the 1968 Olympics, the Shark, as nicknamed by his teammates, returned to the Olympic Games in 1972, determined to do better. As history records, at the 20th Olympiad, Mark Spitz won 7 gold medals and set 7 world records in the process. But it almost didn't happen. After winning his 5th gold medal, the Olympic champion faced his toughest competitor, Australian Michael Windon, in what Spitz had always considered his toughest race, the 100-meter freestyle. He thought seriously of withdrawing from the biggest race of his career. But with encouragement from his coach, Spitz reconsidered and changed history. Spitz's achievement gave America a boost internationally as the nation suffered in global public opinion from its long war in Vietnam. And Spitz's victory in the sports arena was especially gratifying. As an American Jew, his victories cast a powerful shadow over the Palestinian Liberation Organization's Munich terrorism, when 11 Israeli athletes were held hostage and eventually murdered by the group belonging to the Black September organization. Despite the horrors and his own nail-biting competition, Mark Spitz always maintained his sense of humor. The night before competition was to begin, he was asked by a Russian reporter why he wore a mustache. Although he had planned to shave it that very night, he replied,
I said, no, it doesn't slow me down. I said, it deflects the water away from my mouth. It allows my head to get a lot lower and more streamlined, my behind actually up. And so that's why I was able to break the world record at the Olympic trials in Chicago 3 weeks before. The guy looked at me and hesitated, and then he translated as fast as he could into Russian. All male Russian swimmers the next year